Alright, we finally got our hands on some Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer gameplay, and we got some new information about some of the maps. Now, the gameplay, it's not a lot, but it does go a lot into how the gameplay and especially the movement will affect the maps and vice versa, and how they want the game to feel, and especially when it comes to bringing back maps that are over 13 years old back to life, and giving those veteran players that nostalgic feeling of finally going back to the good old days. And Sledgehammer kind of took this mindset and also applied it to the gameplay, and they asked themselves what made the movement and gunplay of older CODs so good, and also asked the same question to the newer CODs. Tried to almost combine them to get the best of both worlds that kind of appease those veteran players and also the new players who really love movement in those fast-paced arcadey battles, because it's also something that Call of Duty used to be known for, but a lot of those players have, matured and kind of want that tactical, realistic approach of things. Because a lot of people don't realize that the older Call of Duties were pretty slow. Like Modern Warfare 2009 was pretty slow by today's standards. So I think they're just trying to find a way to balance everything. And obviously this mindset was also applied when recreating the old maps to put into a modern game. And that means there will be very, very small changes to some of the things in the maps. But they want the map to still have that overall layout and style. And most importantly, the feel that the older players love so much. While also making sure that the game will still flow and play right as well. So they might change like a couple of layout things. But it's not going to be something super noticeable, especially for those older players who would notice something like that. It won't be super jarring or anything like that. And a big part of what they mean with this whole changing the map idea is being able to change the visibility of some of the maps. And because they've come such a long way when it comes to like their engine and technology, they're able to make the maps look better, of course, but they're also able to make it easier to see people who may either be hiding in dark corners. One of the examples they used was Afghan. If you're outside of one of these little huts or buildings or caves and you looked inside, it was extremely hard to see people because of how dark the shadows were applied inside those buildings. So I think what they're going to do is kind of apply a gamma correction to those people who are sitting inside the buildings and make it easier to see, where it's just not a pitch black darkness hole where people can just hide in and kill you easily. Now, I don't think anything like ninja diffusing or just playing for fun is going to be any harder. I just think it's going to make it easier to see people in weird spots that otherwise you should be able to see them in. I also assume they're going to do stuff with the dust as well, but I know that was like a huge complaint with Modern Warfare 2. But that was also because the visual recoil and the dust, which seems like they've almost completely removed with this game. It seems like they've done a complete 180 and just gone the other way. And it kind of seems like that's what they're trying to do with a lot of the things in this game compared to Modern Warfare 2. But I don't think they're completely eliminating it. I know saying 180 is a pretty crazy thing to say, but I think they're just trying to make that balance work perfectly. Because this game obviously is still going to have that Modern Warfare feeling. And they kind of went into how they're going to use this engine to make a map, pop even more. So an example they used was Favela. Favela in this dark alleyway back in Modern Warfare 2, there wasn't anything you could really do with it because that map was so detailed, so big. There wasn't like a lot of space and a lot of things you could do left in the engine. So now that they have that extra space, they're able to obviously, upgrade the fidelity. The game is obviously going to look a lot better than a game in 2009. There's going to be more trash on the floor. There's going to be a lot more small items, polygons, whatever you want to call it. But now they're able to do things artistically that they might not have been able to do before. And one of the examples they showed was this flickering ice cream sign. Now, in this dark alley before in Modern Warfare 2, you couldn't really see anything. It was just a dark alley, but now they're able to have that sign flicker on and off to kind of reflect that lighting, make that boring alley now have a bit of color that'll pop out, and that color is going to be pink, purple, whatever they choose to be. And I assume they're using this mindset all around the maps to kind of make things look even better, which is a great thing, of course. I don't think that's gonna, make the map feel different or play any better. It's only gonna be an improvement. And again, those dark corners on Favela were extremely bad. So there's a lot of hiding spots on Favela, so I'm kind of hoping they're able to fix that with this new engine and their new mindset when it comes to visibility. And one of the biggest things that will change how these maps play especially is the movement changes. Now, back in Modern Warfare 2 2009, you weren't really able to do anything other than sprint, crouch, prone, and jump. But now that movement is a lot more fluid, quick, and snappy. You'll be able to get to places much faster, and especially with slide canceling as well, and the upgraded movement on top of that, traversing around the map is going to be extremely different, to the point where I think timings will be different, and the overall map will be different. Now, you can see here that you're able to mantle these cranes a lot faster, these walls a lot faster, and you're also able to jump higher than you could before. It seems that they've taken that ledge jump from Modern Warfare 2 and have applied it to this game. It kind of cuts off here. You can kind of see him jump over this little island, which I'm not sure you're able to do before. It looks kind of floaty, but I'm pretty sure they just put it in slow motion. And you can see him jump over that wall right before it cuts off, but that was something you were definitely not able to do in Modern Warfare 2. So I think that's going to change things up a lot, and I think it's a good thing, because one of the biggest issues with Modern Warfare 2 2022 was that because of there being no dead silence, the playstyle being extremely slow and the movement being pretty limited when it comes to animations, animation speeds, and a lot of things surrounding that. There's still that verticality that Modern Warfare 2019 had, which was something I actually really like, and Modern Warfare 2 has it as well, which lets you get to areas that people might be camping in and flank them, or just find a different way to approach the situation. But because of the movement and animation speed nerfs of 2022, you kind of weren't able to do anything once you were like even able to be in a situation to kill them, just because of how slow everything was. They'd just get the jump on you, they'd either hear you, or you just wouldn't be able to get your gun up in time. But with how fast everything is in Modern Warfare 3, I don't think this is going to be a problem at all. And I think this is actually a great change. I do think there's a potential that the movement could be overkill, but I don't think they'd let that happen. And if it does, they'll probably end up nerfing it, I hope. Because I don't really want things to be too crazy. It's kind of the same reason I think a jetpack Call of Duty nowadays wouldn't really work. I think with SBMM being a thing, it would just be way too hard to be to be playing that game for fun. In certain lobbies, you would literally just get slammed because of how big of a skill gap a jetpack game has. So I want them to, you know, obviously I want newer players to be able to have fun, but I think the way they've looked at it now is perfect, to be honest. With all this said, they're still making sure that these maps feel more original than modernized, because they don't want to make this feel so different that it's not like the original Modern Warfare 2 maps. And I don't think these vertical changes or just these movement changes are really going to do anything. I'm not a huge fan of the lighting, because I noticed they changed the lighting on a lot of these maps. I believe the scrapper looks like a lot more brownish grayish than it did before, and it looks kind of bland. I noticed the same thing with Estate. They just changed the lighting a lot on these maps, especially Favela. I remember that map used to be very blue and colorful, and it's kind of toned down a lot. I think it's to make it a little bit more realistic, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I definitely would have preferred it to be more original, because I really like the colors of the original Modern Warfare 2. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how it turns out, considering we're going to have to play maps like Derail and Wasteland, which are huge maps, even by today's standards. And I'm pretty sure back then we played them as 6v6 maps. I assume they're either not going to be in 6v6 S&D, they're probably just going to be in 10v10 Mosh Pit, or 12v12 Search and Destroy if we even have it in this game. I did hear some things saying it might be a ground war map, but I'm pretty sure we're only getting 3 of those on release, and I think we're getting 1 war map. They could be those 3 maps, but I'm not really sure. They also didn't mention it in the video, but they are going to be releasing 3 maps, 3 completely new maps on Season 1 and Season 2 of Modern Warfare 3. I assume they'll do 2 or less maybe in the seasons following, or they just, you know, can't make those promises because they're not that deep in development. But I do think that's important for people who aren't really excited for these remastered maps, because either they don't get the hype of the old game or just don't really care. Because I do think nostalgia is a big selling point of this game. So if those things don't really, you know, matter to you, I completely understand not caring. Because nostalgia is going to sell a lot of copies of this game for sure, and especially the movement coming back, because the movement looks great. Because in this trailer, they really only show gameplay for a couple of seconds. You can just see someone booking it through the top middle of high rise with an Uzi in their hands, and God, I really do miss that gun. I hope it's not as good as it was in 2019, where at 3 bullets people across the map. And from what I've dreamt of, it seems that there's a fast firing Uzi like in the original Modern Warfare 2 with the mini Uzi, and a slow firing Uzi like we had back in 2019. But they don't really show the gunplay or any, you know, players dying, anything like that. No gunfights are shown in this. It's mostly to just show how transversal will work around the map and how fast the movement is. And I'm not sure complete, but I'm pretty sure this is on the default FOV, which is 80. So I can only imagine how insane it'll look on a higher field of view like 120. And it seems like jumps don't really stagger your movement or stop your momentum as much as they do in like even Vanguard, for example. It seems like they've really overhauled this. It seems almost too fast, but we're obviously gonna have to see. There's probably a chance that this is with like all the movement perks on, so it's gonna be a lot faster than usual. But I believe it's actually been timed that this mantle speed, just like the normal mantle, is twice as fast as Modern Warfare 2022's, which is insane to me, and I think is honestly really needed. I'm not sure if any of this movement was slowed down or sped up, because some parts did look a little bit floaty, but I think, you know, animations, even movement animations, have been solid since Modern Warfare 2019, so I doubt they'd make it floaty again, because they have the blueprint there. You want to make sure the movement is fast, but also grounded at the same time. And Sledgehammer Games has even said that the movement seen in this trailer is better than it looks, which definitely gets me excited, because we haven't even seen slide canceling, reload canceling, even though they're already confirmed. It just seems like they want to make a leveler to the fans who miss that old arcadey style of Call of Duty, and the people who like that 2019 movement, rebirth, you know, YY, whatever it might be. Basically all they really showed in this video, but they also did come out with a blog post, and I think there was like one tweet of, it was like a character defusing a bomb, but it didn't look like it was multiplayer. It looked like it was something for the campaign. but there is a chance that could be the diffusing bomb animation for S&D, and if it is, I'm not really a huge fan. But some of the maps they actually showed on their website weren't shown in the trailer. Now these were only images, and some of these images actually showed weapons that we haven't necessarily seen before. I saw an ACR and a Type 97 and even an Origin shotgun from 2019, which is really surprising to see. But some of the maps they showed in here were Terminal, Afghan, Quarry, Scrapyard, Favela, Derail, Rundown, Estate, Skid Row, Rust, High Rise, Invasion, Karachi, and they honestly look great. There's some difference, obviously. I think most of these maps got huge lighting differences, but overall they look the same. I think they look great. The graphics actually look a lot better than I thought they would. They don't really have a graphic style I think we've seen in a Call of Duty since maybe Vanguard. It's kind of like a mix between Vanguard in 2019 and Modern Warfare 2. It's like all of them mixed together. It's not necessarily any one of them. It's like their art styles are all mixed together. But I'm definitely interested to see how this game plays with Call of Duty Next coming up, because I think if you really stack up those movement perks and on these maps, you could probably book it down a lane and maybe hit like a crazy flank, because some of these maps are a lot more open and have like some unique rush routes. So I'm definitely interested to see how everything plays. But I want to know, what do you guys think after seeing this short amount of gameplay? It's not a lot, but from what I've seen on Twitter, people are crazy excited for this movement. This movement seems to be just getting people all hyped up on Copium. They don't care how bad the game is anymore. They just want to hit a YY slide cancel, whatever it might be. I feel like what they were promising with this game could actually be pretty good. You know, before this game came out, I wasn't super hyped, but what really worries me right now is the perk system. I'm not sure how it's going to work, how balanced it's going to be. But I mean, we'll only be able to see when the game comes out. You know, the beta is going to be free. You don't have to pre-order to try it. So I'm definitely going to come out with my own thoughts and opinions when I get my hand on the game. I haven't been able to see the games behind closed door. I don't get invited to events, so everything I say and see will be completely 100% my opinion. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys.